Alright guys, today's video is a chestnut tree update here. I have mostly good news to show you, actually pretty much all good news except for one item, which would have been the cicadas doing damage to the trees, which has reduced my nut crop output quite a bit. Some trees are completely wiped out, but that's the worst of it as far as the trees go. So copper has been put out here for a while now, and we've gotten probably in the neighborhood of over 5.5 inches of rain now in a span of 2 weeks. So rain is no longer an issue in here. As you can see, the plot is just, it's blowing up because of that. But the chestnut trees are also going through some things that I have personally in my life have never seen before. There's one tree down here that is just flat out amazing. So this one here is the biggest and healthiest tree. The growth rate has slowed down compared to years past. So now we're averaging maybe 1.5 feet or so. I would rather the pace keep up in that 2 to 3 foot range. But the tree is getting bigger, and these chestnut trees can slow down over time because they can only get to a certain size, or average size, whatever you want to call it, maturity size. But these trees will grow until they die, but they do slow down in pace once they get older. But anyway, the copper treatment has done fantastic on every tree that I put it on. So this one here greened up a lot. Minus the dead limbs from cicada damage, there's also new growth that has reoccurred here. Some limbs have grown more than 1 foot just out of the blue on this tree. Now some of the resprout is also from cicada damage. Trees can resprout from that. But the way some of these trees are growing now, I think that copper has done a lot to increase the health of the tree. So very good looking tree. And what burrs are remaining that didn't either fall off from, such a weakened state are beginning to develop. So we're getting to the stage now to where the nuts are starting to rapidly increase. So the next 4 to 6 weeks will be very fast-paced growth. Now here was my worst tree of the bunch this year. Look at how much that copper has helped it. This tree has grown again. Right there, brand new growth, about 8 to 9 inches long. All kinds of new growth right there. So this tree is now beginning to get healthier. Now at this point, so we can see the color has improved. It's had enough rains and time for this copper to take effect. The color has improved, but it's nowhere near where it needs to be. So what I would recommend in this situation is, if you have not used any P&K or NPK, whatever order you want to call it, I would recommend giving this tree a good round of it. So I probably will put out, a 20-25 pound surge of that stuff. And because the copper has already affected this tree, the odds of better growth should come pretty quickly, and the green up process will be much better because now this copper is helping the roots. If there is a root problem in this tree, it is helping to overcome it. Copper is probably one of the least looked at things as far as trace minerals for trees or even food plots. Another another chestnut tree doing fantastic. Look at all that new long growth right there. Some of them limbs are at least 2.5 feet, approaching 3. They're still getting longer. As you can see right there, that limb's still growing. A lot of limbs still growing in that tree. This one has lost pretty decent portion of its nut crop this year due to cicada damage, and that's to be expected. It didn't get hit as hard as the other trees, but the time of year they struck on it, none of the catkins developed. None of the female flowers got a chance to develop, and it just wiped out large swaths off of that tree. The other one here, that it tried to make some catkins, and of course cicadas did kill it, but there is regrowth occurring everywhere on this tree, along with continued growth of other limbs. So all that leaf area right here is all new that it sprouted out over the time period. Especially, all this new growth is after copper. So just keep that in mind when I'm showing you these trees. This tree could also probably use a little bit of an NPK bath, but you can see the new sprouts are coming along. That limb's got a few of them. They're not too aggressive in growth, but it is a good sign that the tree's health has increased. This tree here basically got stripped. I mean, it's been through a lot. It's been through ambrosia beetle, nearly died, bounced back this year and was going to produce really well, and cicadas showed up and gave it another cleaning. So I've got a lot of new sprouts popping up on the top. That's why I was kind of leaving these here. I mean, look at this growth. I was leaving these just in case that there was going to be a lot of issues with this trunk, because I don't like some of that rot that I see in there. And I could cut that down and let one of these guys take over. But you're looking at least 5 feet of growth coming off of that guy. It did grow again because of copper treatment. And I think it's finally, yeah, from the looks of it, it's not making any more new leaves. So it'll probably get another inch longer or so, and that'll be the end of the growth for now. This is about a 4-foot span of growth. These are very, very healthy replacements if I choose to use any of them. This tree here was spared a lot of damage. It didn't get hit near as bad as the others. Matter of fact, it was pretty light considering what most of the trees got. And it is covered in chestnut burrs up there at the top. I mean, most that this tree has ever produced. Looking really strong. You can also see new growth. I mean, every tree's experiencing it right now. New growth. New growth. Looking really promising. You can see it there. So for those of you that are looking for faster size, copper treatments would work well. Trace minerals I would highly recommend looking at that to see if that can help your trees. And I can tell here that the growth rings where this tree's growing faster, you can see the new splits that's forming in it. That's not nothing bad. That's actually a healthy sign this tree's growing at a good clip. You can see where it's swelling and cracking the bark. The more mature they get, the more that bark will crack. Now, this tree, I don't know what to say about this. In my life, I have never, ever seen anything like this before. This tree's health is skyrocketing. And for the first time that I have ever seen, a chestnut tree is producing a second time. And here we are, late July. I have never seen this happen before. We have new catkins blooming. We have new female flowers everywhere on the limbs that are producing the new catkins. You can see them up there. So we have, look at all those clusters up there. Folks, that is copper induced. This tree was doing jack crap until I put copper out. Even with a 25-pound fertilizer rate, let me back this out again. Sorry about that. Even with a 25-pound fertilizer rate, which you can still see this is growing very green, very aggressive compared to areas just outside the ring. This tree just wasn't growing. Now the color did improve. I want to reiterate that after that fertilizer, it did get better, but it wasn't getting better like I wanted it to. Now this tree is growing like crazy. Now it's got the trace mineral it sorely needed. Right there's 1.5 feet of growth. There's still limbs growing on it. It's not done. What is here now has went into super dark green mode. Now, would you say that that tree is in much better shape than when I started the season? Because remember, it was just horrible. There was no aggression in the growth. This was a bad sign that this tree was not going to live much longer. I have completely reversed this tree's course. I think next year you're going to see very aggressive growth. And I'm coming up with an idea now. I know I did a copper treatment here, but it wasn't to get it to 4 to 5 parts per million. I know I didn't put enough out. So next year when I do my treatments, I'm going to do my boron treatment and my copper treatment on the same day. And we're going to see what happens to the aggression in the growth. But also I'm eyeing is this up here. Hold on one second. Try to get to a limb without getting wet. It rained. I am eyeing this. Look at that. It is pressing, literally pressing more production. The only issue is this tree can't pollinate itself. So nothing is going to come of this new production attempts. Now, if these other trees were doing it, it'd be a different story. But there's not going to be anything happen. But the amount of attempts to repopulate the nut production on this tree, I have never ever seen anything like that. I don't know if that's a 1 in a million shot or what, but usually when chestnuts send out their tassels or their catkins, that's it, they're done. I have never seen them attempt a second wave like this before. And it's not like it's on 3 or 4 limbs. I'm finding 20, 30 limbs on here that have some new tassels or catkins hanging off of them. Way up there, loaded. I mean, there are tons and tons of female flowers. I am just like, holy crap, look at this limb right here. That is even better than boron. That is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 heads that I'm counting on one limb in a span of 16, or in a span of 6 inches right there. Outstanding. So I'm going to see what happens with a copper boron. Back out again, sorry. I'm going to see what happens with a copper and boron push on these trees. I think I see some very, very promising signs. With that combo, we're going to get some huge amounts of nut production out of these trees. Well more than what you're used to seeing. All right, here's the other one. This is another really healthy tree. Got decent damage done to it, but this tree has rebounded so fast. It is crazy. Look at all this new growth sprouting off this one limb right here. And it's growing really fast. Leaves are really green. This is the time of year where things like Japanese beetles get a hold of them and strip them out. But the replacement that it's putting out is crazy good. I mean, we're talking several limbs already at the 3 foot mark and still going. Maybe this tree is probably going to grow to 4 or 5 feet if it keeps it up right now. Easily. It's not showing any signs of slowing down. It's just getting more and more aggressive. Even here, tons and tons of new growth. That is an amazing feat for trace minerals. Heck yes. So again, copper in adequate amounts changes the game. Now this tree, I know it's a sucker. This tree has went ballistic. There is growth upon growth upon growth on this tree. The trunk is rapidly gaining thickness. Probably one of the fastest growing, returning trees like this I've seen in a while. very long while. We've got growth here that's 3 feet, and I think that one is slowing down. Looks like it's done. We have other limbs that are still growing. I mean, this is just look at how thick this has gotten. That is one heck of a growth ring right there. So I fully intend to keep doing copper treatments until I have to stop. I will do maybe light amounts of copper. Maybe I can prolong it, or I just shoot the moon and go ahead and get it to 4 to 5 parts per million, and we'll call it even. But ridiculous growth. Even now, here's one of the things, guys. I know a lot of people use tree protectors, or not necessarily tree protectors, but the plastic aerated shoots to help these trees grow taller. One of the side effects is it creates weak trees. I was almost ready to stake this tree. It has straightened up by more than 3 or 4 feet, because this was leaning literally down like right into here. Once the copper got applied, I could see the tree was already beginning to straighten up and started growing really fast. And you can see all those new growths right there helping pull the tree straight. So I think this makes stronger trees. I know we want nice, pretty straight trees, but I would prefer to let the trees branch and make their own strength. And those little plastic tubes cause a lot of them to get really tall quick, but they fall over. And that's why I'm not a fan of them. I would just rather the tree do what it needs to do to strengthen itself up. There's the other big one. You can see it just got hammered. Cicadas absolutely hammered that tree. Very little nut production left. Lots of regrowth occurring. Very strong looking regrowth. This one is becoming the same way. You can see much darker leaves. The health of that tree has increased a lot. We do have new growth, more new growth. There's a little bit. It can be more aggressive than what I'm seeing. I believe this tree could use an NPK bath as well, and that would take care of a lot of things. This tree's doing the same thing. I'm pretty much reporting the same thing for every tree. They got hurt really bad by cicadas after a strong start, really bit back, and now they're bushing right back out. That copper treatment has helped invigorate every one of these trees. Same with this one. It was on pace to do very well, improve its nut production, and it just got flat out destroyed. So now there's like just maybe one burr left in that tree. I don't think it's gonna act. No, I see 2. There's at least 2, and they're right there. So it may have a few here to spit out, but it ain't gonna be much. Very large regrowth occurring here. Very aggressive. You can see all the limbs up there shooting off fast growth. Definitely the rebound that I want to see. This other sucker is also going insane. It really was not this strong at all before copper treatment. And now we're getting 4 foot long limbs on a few of these. Most of them are at that, I'd say 2.5 foot range. So, you know, your 4 footers are practically gonna be these. This one here is really long, and it's got a lot of continuous growth, especially up here at the top. That top is exploding. As straight as that tree is, I believe I intend to keep that one, and we're going to cut down all this, but we will do it next year. Not this year, next year. So that way all this energy that it's creating will go back into this main tree and give me some fantastic growth again. And I can recover that much faster doing it that way than I can cutting these down green. Same thing will happen for that. That's next year. We'll do some maintenance on that tree, remove a lot of limbs. This growth here couldn't handle the weight, bent really bad, it's out. That means it's a weaker growing tree. This one has done well. It's doing a fantastic rebound. A lot of new growth, Most of that's a foot long new growth that's occurring in there. And this tree also could use probably a little more NPK fertilizer. It's growing pretty straight considering what most of them grow. But I love it, guys. This is the best that these trees have actually looked. Minus the cicada damage, as far as the health and shine, this is the best they have ever looked. And that didn't happen until copper was put out. I mean, look at how bushy. It's almost like a pancake now, the way that tree looks. But look at how bushy that tree has become. It is becoming a fantastic looking tree. And now all we need is that 3 to 4 foot growing span to come back. And I think we have cracked the code on some of these weaker trees. It's a root problem. There's something in the ground either attacking the roots, causing disease, or there is some sort of blockade occurring somewhere in those roots, and that copper is unwinding all those problems. All right, guys, hope you like this video. Hit that like and subscribe button. And that is my chestnut tree update. Looking really good. Have a good one, guys.